Is there a better centre-half in the Premier League at the moment in time than Ibou Konate?
No.
I mean, the fella next to him's got a shout.
No,
Arsenal have got a couple of good ones, but like, he's outrageous, isn't he?
Still, no. He's unbelievable. Absolutely. And you know what? It's fascinating with Ibou. Like, there's such a wide conversation with him generally. Listen, let's cut to the chase. His form right now is exceptional. I do believe he's the best centre-half in the Premier League right now, perhaps across Europe, because he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's outplaying Virgil van Dijk, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, Virgil van Dijk is an absolute colossus of a man. Like, he's been the best footballer in the world, best centre-half in the world since he arrived at the football club, more or less. But Konate's better than him right now in terms of form. And it's interesting because obviously the back end of last season, I always reference back to this, so forgive me, but like, Joel Quansah had the shirt, it was his shirt, and that was more of a slight on what wasn't happening with Konate. I think Quansah was brilliant and deservedly was in the side. But Konate should have been looking at that going, no, this can't be right. Like, not on my watch. Like, his ability and what he can do and his ceiling is so superior. It's so unbelievably high that he should have been sort of put out and his nose put out of the joint by the fact he wasn't playing. So to see him respond and come into the team and be as brilliant as he has been is good, because that's his level. That's what he is as a footballer. He is world class. He's bigger than everyone. He's stronger than everyone. He's quicker than everyone. This is the way he should be playing. His reading of the game, his understanding when to go into challenges, you mentioned it before, a little bit rash. He can be a little bit firefightery. That was always the problem with Ibou. None of that anymore. His decision making, unbelievable.
I mean, there were two problems with him. One is that he would go flying out to the wing and leave gaps behind him. The other one is that he was never fit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact that they said the other week, this is his ninth game on the run, which is the first time he's ever achieved that for Liverpool. Well, I think that just summed up the problem with him.
When he started limping the weekend,
he got carried off for the half time in that game, and I thought, oh well, there we go. And there he was the next game, back out again. I mean, his form at the moment is just off the chart. He's just sensational, and he's always had that. But he just didn't show it. One, because he was never getting on the pitch often enough, playing enough football. And two, there was still the immaturity around him. You know, he was a bit handsy. He was a bit rash. Now he just looks commanding. You know, we're seeing whoever bought him, we're seeing what they saw in him, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose, Dan, as well, like the obvious one is this, like, the one-on-one duels, just no one's getting the best of him. Like, he has a brain fart at Wolves, and he just makes a bad choice, and that can happen to someone. But like, anyone who's having a go at him's getting no joy. Ollie Watkins got nothing out of him, and then they bring John Duran on, who's he's minutes to goals and all that kind of stuff. Been excellent the whole time. And in this game again, Konate just dealt with every single thing just perfectly. It feels like. Yeah, it's really difficult to get past him because he's so big, so strong, so quick. He's in the right place. He's not really making the stupid errors anymore. He's not giving the amount of fouls away that I used to do my head in, like quick, stupid free kicks. It just looks like he's just on another level at the moment.
He is, yeah, like I say, he's reading the game, his positioning, all that sort of stuff, his understanding of where to be and what could sort of happen. It felt like he was trying to deal with problems before they became problems previously, which can be a positive, but when you are getting it wildly wrong, like he so often was, it then transpires that you've actually made it worse for your own team. The minute, there's none of that. He's at every single second ball. He's, as I say, he's understanding where the cross might come, where Aston Villa want to play, all that sort of stuff. And it's interesting because obviously so often, and this happened at the weekend as well, actually I referenced it earlier, the opposition's team sort of plan, they can look to exploit that right hand side because it's Trent who has got question marks around him defensively. You don't want to go at Virgil van Dijk because it's Virgil van Dijk, but when your other lad in Konate is playing as well as he is right now, where do you go from there as an opponent? You've got no one to turn to.
That shows, where Konate is improving, in that he's always had the worst job in the team. Because of Trent.
Oh yeah.
Because teams always attack that side of the pitch, he was always the centre back coming under the most pressure. But now he copes with it, and of course Trent is defending better. He's being more as a fullback. Yeah, he's being more as a fullback than he was before.
I've got some stats here for you as well over the course of the season. In terms of aerial duels won, Dan, 82%. That's like 97 percentile. Basically, for those who are watching, there's a graph. The further you are in green towards the right of the screen is where you are compared to everybody else. He's just miles. Like, he's in the very, very upper echelons of those aerial duels won, but also duels as a whole. goal. Like he's the 83rd. He's so far up there. The reason the manager brought him in at half time against Ipswich, bear in mind he wasn't in the team. Jello Kwanzaa was kind. I don't like us in these one-on-one duels. I think we can get isolated, and we probably never noticed that was happening to us until Konate's coming. Because you used to think, didn't such and such have a good game? Didn't Liam Delap have a good game? Or like Chris Wood had a good game? Or whoever you want to talk about. Now it's like, they're getting nothing out of Konate. He's just, as soon as the ball goes anywhere near them, it's like, that's man.
Yeah, and again, I come back to it, like that's his stock in trade. That's what he should be doing. It shouldn't come as a massive surprise to us, his form right now, because this is what he was signed, this is what he was destined to become. It felt like the fact that he had such blips and bumps in the road along the way. John's point on injuries and fitness is an absolutely right one, because that has held him back, it feels like, from anywhere reaching his maximum potential until this point. But he was signed to become this footballer. He has all the attributes to become this footballer. So when he becomes this footballer and we see it over a more consistent and prolonged period, it shouldn't shock us massively. I've always had faith. The Champions League final performance is one we always hark back to and say, that's Ibou Konate, that's him at his best. He just needed to do it more regularly, and he's doing it right now. And it's, him and Virgil van Dijk alongside each other, like, dear me, like, best of luck.
And we shouldn't underestimate the fact that, Kwanzaa was the guy in with the shirt at the start of the season and got hauled off after half a game. That must help you to focus your mind on being the best defender you can be, because you're out if you're not. Slot doesn't have any
ruthlessness in the manager.
No sentimentality there at all.
I'm going to touch wood when I say this. Touch wood, because you mentioned before the fitness thing, John. It's interesting. I don't know if it's the change of style of play. Maybe he's been asked to do a few less sprints. I think we can kind of see that is happening. Maybe, Arne Slot's always prided himself on keeping players fit, and we'll do things differently. He's 25. Maybe he's just naturally getting fitter and stronger. But like, he's 10 games on the run that he's playing or whatever now. He's getting those consistency, and with consistency of availability becomes consistency in performance. You're not rehabbing, working your way back, needing a couple of games. Whatever they're doing or whatever he is doing, it seems to work, and Liverpool keep him on the pitch, which is the massive plus point really, because if he is on the pitch, like Dan said, next to Virgil, Liverpool, we've conceded half the amount of goals as pretty much everyone in the league so far, and those two have been a massive reason.
Absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to extract the centre-backs from the midfield who are helping out as well, but they're so commanding, those two. I mean, you just feel secure. And do you remember
the last time it's like what you'd call like a centre forward had a great game against us, or like I struggle to think of a time when it like, and by the way, like for example, like a Danny Welbeck who's been causing loads of teams problems this year. We've come up against him.
Well, you mentioned John Duran. He's a proper
handful, I can't remember like a centre. I mean, listen. Arsenal, I thought Saka was magnificent, but that was on the right.
Winger,
There are very few times where I thought a centre forward can come up off playing against us, and thought I've had much joy there. I'm struggling to think of one people.
Even Chris Wood wasn't the guy, was he, for Forest? It was a Callum Hudson-Odoi goal.
Well, they changed this.
Well, you think back to say last season, not even a centre forward, but say Martinelli last year was ripping us to shreds, and. I don't think of anyone on that side of the pitch when we played Arsenal got any joy out of Konate at all.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find one. Which again,
well, even what I will say, it's interesting actually you mentioned that, because Bayer Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso changed what he did with their centre forward in Boniface, probably because of Konate and Van Dijk and how commanding, how dominant they've been. They clearly, Xabi Alonso identified that and went, well, he's my guy. He's not going to get any joy up against them two, so I'm going to put him out on the wing. Yeah, and Arne Slot referenced that, not so much as that's why they did it, but he said that's the first time he's done it all season. So there was clearly something there that he went, well, there's no point going up against Ibou and Verge, because you're not going to get a single bit of change out of them, so let's change it up.
I'm just going to go again, let's just do it, let's have a little exercise, go through it. Like, Ipswich, Delap did okay against Kwanzaa,
but then not so much. They've been asked team a little bit.
Brentford, not a lot. Man United, no chance. Forest, again, I don't think it was the centre forward that did particularly well. Milan, nothing really. Morata didn't get much joy out of us. Bournemouth didn't get much joy. Wolves, I remember Larson got taken off. He didn't get much joy out of us. Bologna didn't really. Palace, they changed again. They ended up time Mateta. And he actually did all right when he come on, actually, Mateta, but not too much out of us. Nicholas Jackson against Chelsea scores. Very tight offside, but again on Konate actually. But I don't think
that might be the only time.
Mate, and even he wasn't. I don't remember him being in tons in the game. I actually thought Chelsea controlled the ball without creating too much.
Is it Konate that plays him on? I think I remember that. Yeah.
And then Leipzig, not much. Again, Arsenal, we didn't get too much out of Kai Havertz, really. Yeah, I'm just thinking like Liverpool aren't perfect, but like these
Sesko isn't in Leipzig.
Yeah, these centre halves. So these forwards who are causing the team's problems, touch wood, tend not to be corners.
Come up against Haaland in a couple of weeks, so
that'll be the litmus test, won't it? And again, as much as City aren't at it by any stretch of imagination now, when you're thinking about quick, powerful, commanding centre halves, Haaland's the answer.
More and more you look at Haaland, and he gets by a lot on his strength. Well, he's going to come up against someone who's just as strong.
Well, post Southampton, he's going to probably have to deal in a row with Mbappe, Haaland, Isak. And they're all very good players. Obviously, rank them however you want, in whatever order. But there are tests to come, Dan. But you'd back him at this moment because you wouldn't swap him for anyone.
Well, again, he hasn't got anything within his arm, within his arsenal, that suggests he can't cope with anything those three offer. He seemingly has the intelligence right now to understand how they want to play. He's got the pace to match all of them, more or less, and he's got the power to certainly match all of them. So it's going to be interesting.
It's interesting, John, because the week after, actually, we go to Everton. I know it's a while away, and we'll see where we are. There's there's 5 more games or whatever before then, but that was
better.
Well, no, I was going to say because that was the game actually. That was the game that got him out of the team. He got hooked in that game. Calvert-Lewin had him on toast.
Yeah.
And it might be again different ends of the season and injuries and whatever and different form, but that'll be a really good comparison of Ibou if he goes back to a place where he had a real tough time against a player who did really well against him. You might be able to see hopefully if he plays well again, you'll be able to see the improvements in him because he's been brilliant.
Be interesting.
Just on that, just dead quickly, the challenge that a Calvert-Lewin poses to somebody like a modern day centre half is so as big and as powerful and imposing as Konate is, and I believe he is all of those things. You don't get many 6'6" centre forwards with his team like Sean Dyche at Everton is going to lump it into the box and say, "Go on, then, best of luck." Like so much of the game now is on the floor and it is played in sort of the minutiae of tactics and systems. When it is a bit of a throwback and it is just crosses from wingers and fullbacks, that does pose a different threat. So it will be interesting to see how. And Konate should be able to cope with it, but he definitely didn't last year.
Yeah, but you'd back him to now, wouldn't you? Given how he's playing now, like I say, to answer the question, you wouldn't swap. At the moment, is he number 1 Premier League?
For me, yeah.
They're talking about him being captain of France, aren't they?
I think Van Dijk might be second, by the way.
No, it's in
this conversation, which explains why Liverpool only conceded 6 goals a little bit. And again, there are tons of good centre halves around. I think Arsenal's are fantastic. Loads of teams, I think Newcastle are defending pretty well, but Liverpool's centre halves at this moment are right up there.